Good morning to day 44. Cloudy, but some beautiful sun as always. I returned yesterday and the guys had actually swept the road after my 2 weeks of asking, which is absolutely nice of them. I'm not too sure why people don't actually leave the job as they found it anyway. And that is obviously then hopefully going to stop a lot of the dust today, so we need to give it a good wash down as well. But just keeping the road clean just helps the dust, and as a result, the neighbours. So hopefully they can keep it like that. So hopefully I don't have to explode every time to get people to do what we need to do. So anyway, on a positive note, it seems to be sort of connecting a bit more together. They've moved some material around last night to try and make some space, which I think later on today they will, once they've finished doing what they've got to do, move this material off of the slab, put it over there, and then they can potentially start Monday. I think the aim is to start looking at boxing out the main footings and the slab and the pool areas. They want to try and get all of the walls done first, obviously. Get the walls up, get the walls plastered, and get them backfilled. I don't know what they call it. I mean, it's basically it's a boundary wall that just helps protect the actual site from anybody coming in and stealing or falling over and hurting themselves, etc. So they want to try and get those done first, and that obviously includes that far side over here where the neighbour is here, this whole fence where the hedge is. That one also separates us from the neighbour, but on top of that, for the neighbour, if there is any form of rain, it just helps from flooding, stops the water going his way, and helps steer the water towards the well. So there's a well just over there which absorbs quite a bit of water. Unless the place floods, obviously it doesn't handle that, but it certainly does help a lot of, takes a lot of the water away. So they want to get what we class as the northern wall, even though that is west. So I'm now looking at the house itself from the road. That way is south, that's north. The beach is technically east, and up the road is west. But we tend to call that the northern wall because obviously the complex itself, you come into the top end, so north but west. They want to get the north wall done first, they want to get this road wall done next, and then obviously they want to try and brick up and start getting courses into the other one. I think they've already started, but they want to try and get all three walls up and finished. Then I think the aim is to try and get the setting out started as of Monday. They want to spend the whole week getting all of the footings, the formwork, so the wood all set out. Once they've got the wood set out, they can start putting all the rebar. So the whole slab has got to be rebarred. So spin it around so you can see. Now technically that slab itself, all of it is going to have to be rebarred. So there's going to be columns going through the middle of the actual slab itself to hold the actual concrete floor up. So they've got to dig those out, set those in, and then do all the rebar for those. And the rebar will obviously be, big cast irons coming up like that. They'll be boxed in and they'll be concreted. Then there's the outside, which we've already torn up, obviously. It went all the way around here. So that's got to be done as well. It goes all the way around the actual slab itself. And then there'll be the pool areas exactly the same, which is about the same width. And then there'll be the main base area itself, so they'll have to rebar the main area itself. And again, you get that rebar off the ground, so when you pour the concrete goes underneath the actual rebar, and obviously then creates a solid surface. So they're going to be aiming to try and get all of that done by next Friday, with a view to potentially pouring concrete the Tuesday after. So a week Tuesday, we're going to be pouring the main slab. Now in the meantime, they've got to bring in the M&E services, the mechanical and electrical services, so drainage, any form of water feed, and on top of that, any form of power has got to be coming through that slab. Apparently, I thought it would be higher than that, but apparently they put a lot of the services into the actual slab itself. So that's got to be done as well. So they've got to start speaking to people about how to go about starting that, mapping that out, and where does that all go. So that's going to be something that's going to be quite important to get right next week. So again, in that rebar laying out formwork, there'll also be electrical and mechanical guys, and they're doing that as well, I assume. So fingers crossed, we can get that done before we start concreting. And then, so I've got to talk to them about, I've got to talk to the electrician and the plumber about what we want, where we want it, and where the main services are going to be fed into, because obviously that will all feed upstairs into the main house. So the slab that's going to go above is going to be a ground floor slab into the house. So yeah, we'll have to feed that somehow. Drainage, roof drainage, we'll have to consider that as well at the same time, because the water that's going to be collected from the roof has got to go down into a gutted system. The system's got to go through the house, through the ground floor. Then it's also got to feed over into the patio stroke swimming pool area, because that's where the irrigation tanks are going to be. So there's 2 6,000 irrigation tanks going in, and we'll have to feed those. So all of the stuff that's going to be above has got to be talked about now, because it's going to be planned into the concrete and into the footings. So I will need to try and pin them down and talk to them about that at some stage. Other than that, it's yeah, there's a few things to do, which I'm sure we'll get around to doing today and discussing. But my family has arrived, so I do want to go and spend a week with them. So it's going to be a case of trying to spend time with them and getting here first thing in the morning, checking in, seeing that some of everybody, setting things up, disappearing, and then coming back into play every day. That's the main aim for a week. Yeah, and they're pretty skilled and switched on to get this thing driven, so they know what they've got to do. They certainly don't need me around, that's for sure. So anyway, that's going to be the day for now. So I'm going to be, what's the time now? Just come up 7:30. So I'll probably be shooting off about 8, half 8, and I'll be coming back about 5ish. So I'll check in around about there.